Shimo, a brand new titan in the MonsterVerse. In the new empire, this ice goddess of uber proportions was the catalyst for the entire basis of the story, as the Scar King used her against her will in his goal of taking over the Hollow Earth, the surface world, everything. We saw her great power showcased in epic fashion against Kong, Godzilla, and finally Scar. Which I gotta ask, if it was a pure 1v1 fight with evolved Godzilla, how do you think their battle would have actually played out? We didn't really get to see them truly duke it out, so there's debate as to who would actually win here. I want to hear you all's thoughts. Ultimately, it wouldn't matter, as Shimo and Godzilla never really had any beef with one another. Shimo was only doing all that bad stuff because she was being torture tickled by Scar's magic stick. But that didn't undermine the fact that she took on the nuclear roid rage and barely broke a sweat by the look of it. So does this mean that Shimo truly is the most powerful titan of all? For starters, we gotta go back to something I've had a good time obsessing over this past year. Just how did Ghidorah, supposedly the greatest threat to Earth known at that time, get frozen in a way that seems like it was an instantaneous fast freeze? After we got to see Shimo, I assumed it had to be her for, obvious reasons, and it turns out it was true. All thanks to the official book version of GXK revealing more on what happened that caused Ghidorah's freezing. The scene in the book takes place in the year 2016. Here we have the return of the MonsterVerse's best human character in my opinion, Dr. Serizawa. Shout out to Ken Watanabe, by the way. I wish they would bring you back into one of these TV shows, man. Along with Serizawa, we see Vivian Graham return as well. And then there's Eileen Andrews and another past character, good ol' Emma Russell. These icons of Monarch are in Greenland, meeting Dr. Magezi Martins, a scientist and professor who had been researching the last ice age's worldwide ice layer and made the discovery that the formation of this ice layer all occurred unnaturally fast. They were able to determine this due to the ice crystals appearing super small, a side effect to rapid freezing. Slow freezing usually will cause larger ice crystals. This freezing process in the natural world would typically take decades or more. And her research disclosed that it all could have happened almost instantaneously. It was also discovered that the ice had trace elements of radiation, not like Godzilla's, whose radiation burned hot. This radiation was the complete opposite. It was the type of radiation that freezes atoms in a dead still. Not just something cold, but the literal essence of cold. There was also an acoustic signature, which means the ice froze so fast that the sound it made during this was saved into the memory banks of the ice. At this point, it already sounds like the Ice Queen of the Titans was the culprit here, but it's about to all be completely confirmed. As the crew discusses the science behind the rapid freezing, they talk about how there were multiple cases of this flash freezing in Earth's recent history. The first sign of it was around a few million years ago at the beginning of the Ice Age. The most recent evidence found by Monarch was then said to be from a time when modern humans were alive. So at max, sometime within the last 100,000 years. At the climax of this prologue scene in the book, we get all we need to know to confirm that Shimo was the cause to Ghidorah's freezing. After showing some photos of the ice from the most recent flash freeze, Serizawa presents the final bit of evidence. An image displays on a monitor, an image of what looked like a giant block of ice from a glacier. Inside the ice, there was something in it. Its scale, it was huge. With it confirmed now that Shimo froze Ghidorah instantly, she must be the most powerful of all titans, right? Ghidorah had a thing for worldwide exterior design, and was on his way to terraforming the entire planet if he wasn't stopped. Even Godzilla had to have help and a ton of power-ups to eventually defeat him. Something Shimo did like she was a walking cheat code. Yeah, even if Godzilla did help keep Ghidorah still while Shimo could put him in cryosleep, the fact it was all instantaneous and that her ice powers literally froze Ghidorah's atoms to a point to where even his regenerative capabilities and insane powers were blue-screened. That has to count for something. It's said in the book that the ancient Iwis described Shimo in their script as the original Titan, but it's later expressed by Andrews that she could have misread the ancient language, and that Shimo might have been referred to as the ultimate or quintessential Titan by the Iwi people instead. And this is why even Godzilla at apparently 20 times his normal power levels was still doing all he could to keep it even with Shimo. The book even went as far as to describe that through his expressions that Godzilla was not his normal self going into the fight. He wasn't afraid, he's never that, but allegedly his body signals showed signs of what could have been concern. Which if you know Godzilla, you know the big guy don't give a shit about anything. So going into the fight, even Godzilla knew that Shimo, just like my wife before she has her morning coffee, was not to be messed with. I still want to see what a true 1v fight would be like between these two. Their entire fight in the new empire seemed like something neither of them wanted to take full part in. You could just tell that they weren't trying to crush the soul out of the other one. But now that things are all cleared up and they are on good terms, I doubt we're gonna see it. Unless they decide to go all Rocky 3 on us.
Ding, ding.
My bet is Shimo wins. Even in water, she could probably just freeze Godzilla there. And that's why a part of his reasoning behind sucking up all the atomic juice was so that just in case Shimo did manage to put him in an ice death grip, that he could eventually melt his way out. Regardless, if Shimo could one-shot the devil with 3 heads, intimidate and have the upper hand in a fight with a 20 times stronger Godzilla, then it's easy to say that as of right now in the MonsterVerse, Shimo is probably the strongest Titan of all. Although she gotta do something about that crystal handicap. So where do you place Shimo in the all-time powerful kaiju ranks? Let me know in the comments. If you like this video, you know what to do. Give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and share the video around. Thank you for stopping by Dangerville today. This has been Jacob, and I'll see you in the next one.